So just to show more people on how devastating the aftermath of Hurricane Helene has done to many communities and towns across the coastal lines into 6 different states, the death toll is now increased to, I think, 120 now as we're speaking, and it's continuing to rise as they're finding more victims, finding more bodies, and searching around. The emergency crews there are working endlessly to help these people. And while subsequently the Biden administration and the governments completely snubbed them. So just to show you how devastating the hurricane was to people, I wanted to show some more horrific amateur video of how this came to be. Like, for example, this was in South Carolina, I do believe. And let me turn down the volume for this. That's a coffin. That's a coffin rolling down the streets in storm surge water. That's a coffin from a nearby funeral home that, because of the storm surge, because of how powerful this hurricane was, they said it was so powerful, it's worse than Hurricane Katrina. It's way more devastating and powerful than Hurricane Katrina. And if people are around remembering that and how devastating that was, and still continues to be devastating because they left New Orleans to the dump to just fall in despair after that horrific scene. Now they're doing it to 6 other states, just like they're doing with Maui, just like they did with East Palestine, Ohio. No matter what, the United States government could not care less about its own citizens. They use their citizens, they abuse them like an abusive relationship, and then every so often, and I'm surprised that they're doing this during an election year. I thought maybe that would have the stamina to at least react to this in a proper way. But even during election year, they couldn't care less about this. They couldn't care less about supporting Americans, supporting their fellow brothers and sisters that were impacted by a natural disaster they had no control over. Utterly devastating this is. Here's another one. This is from End Wokeness says this is from Chimney Rock, North Carolina. Is one of the many small towns wiped out by Hurricane Helene. That sounds like a magical town, Chimney Rock. Sounds like something of a storybook I read as a kid, but look how horrible this is. This is from the locals there. Look at that. Look how devastating that is. There's boats, there's cars, all submerged into that lake because everything got thrown into there. Look at that. Far exceeding than Hurricane Katrina. Just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. So, that is obviously devastating beyond belief. But what's even more devastating is the lack of response of the people that should be responding to this. So, for example, and this had to come from Dr. Robert Malone, of all people, because nowhere in mainstream media, nowhere really in governmental officials or agencies even bother to mention about this. But Dr. Robert Malone pointed out that more than 700 soldiers from the Tennessee National Guard, Tennessee, another state that got hit, Tennessee National Guard, were sent to the Middle East on Saturday. And not Saturday last year and they're still over there. I mean Saturday as this storm is coming. As they knew how devastating the storm came to be, they sent the National Guard to the Middle East to have continuous wars. As there's people in desperate situation in their own backyard. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes I am. That's what a human being is. We're allowed to be wrong. But if you're the National Guard, you're the Tennessee National Guard, contrary to belief, wouldn't that make you responsible for guarding the nation and the surrounding communities within Tennessee? I didn't realize. Let me check Google Maps. I didn't think that Israel was part of Tennessee. I didn't realize Hamas was a county in Tennessee. I could be wrong about that, but it just seems out of the ordinary that the National Guard would be sent over to do wartime militia overseas than they would protect their own people. Oh wait, they've done that before. They did that with Hawaii. They did that with East Palestine, Ohio. And sadly, I'm not surprised by this. I'm surprised that it had to come from Dr. Robert Malone. A doctor has to tell people that your National Guard is already went bye-bye away to another territory. A doctor who knows what it's like to be left hung and dry. A doctor who knows what it's like to be, completely thrown under the bus. And now you're seeing hundreds of people, hundreds of thousands of people from all the coastlines, from all in town, all these different communities getting thrown under the bus because the people that are supposed to help you and respond to this have already went away. Thanks to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the Democratic parties. The federal response is so lacking that I literally said, when we covered Joe Biden's response to this, I said that I felt so devastated. My blood boiled so much that I don't even know why people bother to vote. I don't even know why people, and they're going to campaign and try to say that, like, oh, this election year, you got to vote, you got to save democracy. If anyone's living in those areas that got afflicted by the hurricane, I would call up your representatives. I'd be calling up your governors. I'd be calling up your senators. Call up anybody within politics and tell them, what good are you? What good are you that in a time of real crisis that you completely abandon us? Call them up. I'd like to see people's response. If anyone could do that and find a response or film it, please send it to me. Because I would love to see what the response is for their lack of recognition, their lack of response, their lack of initiative to help the people in their own backyard so they could send the National Guard overseas to help a foreign country, a corrupt foreign nation. It's just so devastating. But who did show up? Who did show up miraculously? Donald Trump. Former President Donald Trump actually took the time to witness the horrific damage. And this is interesting. So, breaking, Trump just revealed that he's personally coordinating with Elon Musk to get Starlink set up for Hurricane Helene victims who just lost communication. We want to get Starlink hooked up because they have no communication whatsoever, and Elon will always come through. We know that. This is not even a joke anymore. Elon Musk and Donald Trump doing more to save America than the traitors in power right now. And regardless of what people say about Trump and think about Trump, and I have some opinions on Donald Trump and Elon Musk, I can go on all day about that. I'll tell you, and I give credit where credit's due, this is true leadership. This is what a leader should be doing. This is what people, a proactive response to a devastation like this. Yeah, it may not be much. Yeah, it may not be, exactly the hopeful savior that will come around and do the most they can. But it's a lot better than what Joe Biden's offering. And what he's offering is for you to pound sand. Oh, we got them more than enough. We got more, just, shut up. You gave $100 billion overseas to Ukraine. We got to keep them good and happy. But you guys just shut up. Which, by the way, they said the damage of this overall hurricane is about $12 billion. So think about that. $100 billion off to Ukraine, or $12 billion to repair 6 different states in the coastline. What do you think would be more feasible in the outcome? But here's what Donald Trump says.
Homes, hospitals, highways, and cars have been plunged underwater. Entire neighborhoods have been turned into lakes. Nobody's seen anything like it. And to every family that's been displaced here in Georgia and North Carolina, which has really been hit. We were going there also, and they don't have communication. They don't have anything right now. We're trying to. I just spoke to Elon. I'm getting him. We want to get Starlink hooked up because they have no communication whatsoever. And Elon will always come through. We know that. And so we're working on that, getting them hooked up. They asked me whether or not that would be possible. And we're going to try and get the Starlink in there as soon as possible because they have no communication. And throughout the region, our hearts are with you, and we are going to be with you as long as you need. It's called an hour of need. You're in our prayers, and we pray to God. And throughout the long weeks that lay ahead, you're going to have a lot of work, but the end result is it's going to be good. We just wish so many people weren't so badly hurt, and in many cases, sadly, no longer with us. We love you.
So, I'd like to take the time now to bring to the floor all the shit libs, the anti-Trumpers, the never-Trumpers, just by curiosity. I know you could say all you want about Trump and say, all the rhetoric you've heard all over the news and just repeat the garbage of mainstream media. But at a time of need, if you're in dire devastation, if you were impacted by a hurricane, and you had to choose between this and what Joe Biden said on his way to Air Force One, what kind of showed more leadership? What benefit? Who's going to benefit you more in the longer outcome? Because even if people criticize this and say, well, it was just a campaign hunch and it's just PR and, oh, they're going to bring Starlink down and Elon Musk is a traitor because, God forbid, he opens the floor to X for free speech and brings on a bunch of right-wing. It's a right-wing conspiracy and Project 2025. Blah, 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 blah. Again, I give credit where credit's due. And the fact that he's willing to go to the devastation, at least promise the idea that he's in contact with Elon Musk, which we know he's in contact with Elon Musk. They, contacted throughout this campaign, that they're at least attempting to do something. Whereas Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, where are they on this? Joe Biden says they don't need anything. You guys are fine. You guys are fine. And Kamala Harris is over in the other coast trying to get fundraisers going for herself. I need you to donate to my campaign so that I don't help people in the other side of America. It's just absolutely mind-boggling. It's just it blows my mind that Elon Musk and Donald Trump seem to be more of a path to salvation at a time of need than the people they say that care about working class people. The whole DNC was about, Trump and the Republicans and MAGA, they don't care about working class people. They're just doing it for their rich buddies. Well, here's your time. Here's your time to prove that statement correct. And I'm really shocked that they wouldn't do this in an election year. Like, you're 34 days away from voting, and not one single Democrat I've seen bothering to respond to this, bothering to go there, bothering to see the devastation. At least Trump's there. At least someone's there. But no one from the actual current administration even bothers to care. And that shows you how corrupted these administrations are. How they will never ever support Americans in a time of need, even though Americans support them through their tax dollars, through contributions, their campaigns. And this is the thanks you get. So, I reiterate my call to action for anyone that's in that area or seen this devastation, knows about how horrible this is. Call up your politicians. I dare them to try to weasel themselves out of why they refuse to respond, to react, and to have the initiative to do something at a time of need for Americans. I would definitely love to hear their response. And not just the fact that Joe Biden says, oh, they have enough. Well, we sent FEMA over there. It's enough. I just want to also reiterate that this is far worse than Hurricane Katrina. Another natural disaster that the Bush administration ignored. And people remember that tirelessly. But you go today, you go to the New York Times, you go to the Washington Post, you go to the major publications and news outlets of the day, just crickets. Absolute crickets on this. They're excited to tell you about Tim Walz. They're excited to tell you about the VP debate. They're excited to tell you about Israel. They're excited to tell you about Ukraine. But not a single word about this. The most devastating hurricane we have seen, far greater than Hurricane Katrina. What does that tell you, folks? What does that tell you?